I love this new feature of Zoom telling us that scary woman voice.
Right then, so everybody, welcome! Welcome to the Ask Kick Your Anxiety Masterclass. It's really lovely to see you all. There's some familiar faces as well. And I just want you to take a minute to thank yourselves for making time to come along tonight and to invest this time in yourself to make your lives a bit better. Yeah, so this is your time. You've got a whole hour and it's all about your development. So make sure you can't be disturbed by kids, dogs, which is likely to happen to me and Tina, or anybody else. I hope you've got your notepads and pens ready. You've got a brew or water or a gin and tonic, whatever it is. And what we want you to do is just relax into this time. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk you through what anxiety looks like and how it affects us. And then we're going to take you through some strategies and techniques to help you deal with anxiety and reduce it. And then at the end, we're going to talk to you about what we have coming up next. So I'm going to hand you over to Tina, who is going to settle us in.
Okay, so I'm just going to take us through a brief breathing exercise and relaxation. So I realise everyone might have been busy all day getting things sorted, and as Mel said, this is time for us to come together, just ground and centre ourselves. So I'm just going to take you through some breathing. So we try to use diaphragmatic breathing. Maybe if I sort of go back a little bit, I can show you. So a good way to make sure you're using your diaphragm is to put your hands across your belly. So your diaphragm is from your ribs down. And if you do it so that your fingers are just touching one another, when I want you to breathe in, I want you to try to imagine that your belly is a balloon. So you're breathing in and you're blowing up that balloon, and you should feel that your fingers part slightly. And then as you breathe out, try to squish, imagine squishing your belly button to the back, and your fingers come back together. Okay, so that's the kind of motion. See if you can feel your hands moving as you breathe in and out nice and deeply. We can all feel breathing from our diaphragm. If you wish to put your hands down, you may now, or you can keep them there just to try to keep you sort of conscious of your breathing. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in, filling up that diaphragm, and then I want you to do a big sigh out through your mouth. Breathe in again, in through your nose, big sigh out through your mouth. Release all the tension of the day. One more. Okay, and then just let your breathing return to normal, breathing in and out through your nose if you're able to do that. And if you're comfortable, if you want to close your eyes, just to try to ground and center yourself, you can do that. So a few nice deep breaths before we start a quick relaxation. Filling that diaphragm, expanding that belly, and then contracting it, squeezing that belly towards your back. Being aware of the movement of the breath in your body. I want you to try to move your awareness to your toes. Give your toes a little wiggle and still your feet. Just relaxing your toes, being aware of and relaxing your feet, moving up your body, relaxing your shins and your calves, relaxing your knees, just letting your legs drop out to the side or into the center, not holding them in tension, moving up through the thighs, feeling the muscles soften as they relax, moving up through your pelvis, just keeping that breathing going, that nice, deep, slow inhale and exhale, moving up through your pelvis, through your diaphragm, relaxing all the muscles, feeling more and more relaxed. Moving up through your ribs, through your shoulders, letting your shoulders just relax down away from your ears. Moving your awareness down through your arms, relaxing your biceps, your elbows, your forearms, letting your hands just rest gently in your lap, feeling the muscles get softer and softer as you relax deeper and deeper. Moving up through your throat and your neck, just relaxing your throat and your neck muscles, letting go of any tension from the day. Moving up through to your chin, relax your chin. You might want to let it just drop open. Relax your tongue. We often end up sucking our tongue as we are tense, so relaxing the chin and the tongue. Relaxing your cheeks. Relaxing your eyes. No screwing them up, just relaxing your face and your forehead. Just feeling the body become nice and limp and soft. All the way up to the top of your head. Feel that lovely sensation of relaxation all through your body. Wonderful, warm sensation as you just relax deeper and deeper. A few more nice deep breaths. Opening and engaging your mind, ready for the session. Being aware and open to new ideas, new strategies. And when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes, bringing your awareness back. Just bringing yourself back into the room, back into the session. Okay, so hopefully everybody is nicely relaxed now, nicely tuned in and grounded, feeling de-stressed and ready to move on. So I'm going to give you a little bit of my story first of all. Hi Shelley. Just as a bit of background as to why Mel and I wanted to put on this course. So I've suffered from some depression when I had my kids, when my parents both passed away, when I conceived my first child, and then my other parent when he was first born. So I had some postnatal depression there. And then as I carried on through my life, various other challenges, my son got diagnosed autistic, I started feeling that the depression was coming back. And then I actually did a mental health ally course at work and realized it was actually not depression, but anxiety. And there were quite a few subtle differences there. I did try some tools and stuff that we did on the mental health course, talking to people, but I did find that it got to a point a few years ago that it got quite seriously out of control. My husband is dependent on alcohol, and it was driving me to the point that I was becoming seriously ill. And this isn't something that I advertise too publicly, but I'll tell you here because it's part of the story and part of the anxiety and why I'm so passionate about trying to help people. But it actually manifested physically in me in the end. I was so ill, I couldn't actually leave the house without having a toiletry accident, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, was quite humiliating. I'm very active. I'm a triathlon coach. I lead running groups in the running club, and I just wasn't able to do any of that. One time I had a group out and I actually had to leave them and go behind a bush. So you can imagine it was absolutely mortifying, very distressing for me. I engaged with a coach myself, and that's where I met Mel, and started to look at what was causing my anxiety, what was fueling it, and how I could actually start to manage it and work through it and then prevent it as much as I can. And I've learned a lot of these strategies and tools that we're going to start touching on tonight. And I said to Mel that I was really passionate about putting on a course for this because I'm aware of how big a problem it is for people. With the lockdown, everyone's anxiety really spiked. And then I think with coming into a fairly sort of new normal, but now going back into the office, I think a lot of people, or you know, coming into contact with people again and feeling their anxiety spike again. So we thought this would be a really appropriate time to put on this course for everybody, and just to make people a bit more aware of what they can do and how they can challenge it and manage it on a day-to-day basis. So that's my quick story. I'll hand over to Mel to give you her little bit of background.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, I'd never really experienced what I would call hardcore anxiety until about 18 months ago. I'd started a new job, and the tasks that I was doing in the new job were just way beyond my skill set. And I was having to do them under quite a tight time pressure. And I just remember that my mind was in a whirl. I mean, I got to a point where I couldn't focus on the tasks. And I remember one day I couldn't even focus on the screen in front of me. The pressure was just immense. And I would go into work and I would physically shake at my desk. And I didn't believe people when they said you get sweaty palms when you're stressed, because I was like, how on earth can your hands sweat? But bloody hell, mine were like doing it, and I was like, I can't believe this. And for me as well, it didn't just affect me going into work. I couldn't enjoy my weekends, I couldn't enjoy my evenings, because all that was going on in my head was, you've got to go back to work and do those tasks and sit at that desk, and it was just consuming. And it was at that point that I also got some coaching around this, because it was just really debilitating. I'd always thought with anxiety you could just literally snap out of it and pull your socks off, and that wasn't happening for me. So I got coaching, and I also started studying neuro-linguistic programming, which is basically like the relationship between your mind and your behaviours, and that taught me a lot as well. So now not only do I understand where anxiety comes from, but I also understand how to manage it. Because for me, when at work, when we had the Christmas break, for me that was the only way I could get away from it. That was my only respite. I had no idea that I could handle it in the situation and manage it. So now I've got tools that I use quite a lot whenever I feel anxiety creeping in, even low level. I've got loads of tools and strategies we can put into action, and that helps me. So for me, it's been a huge learning experience about anxiety, and it made me realise that it can happen to anybody at any time. So if you're prepared with your tools and strategies in advance, then you'll be able to deal with it. And one of the things that we did that helped me cope with it was to take a step out of whatever the situation was and look at what else you have going on in your life that's positive, because it can really consume you and you can lose sight of all of that. So we want to start with something positive tonight, and we want to ask you to use the chat box on here and drop in the chat box, what positive thing have you got going on in your life right now? Something you value, something you love, something really positive for you. Let's see if we can get some positivity going on the screen. Tina, what have you got? You can talk to us. What's really amazing for you at the moment?
I think our masterclass has been really good for us, and next little venture that we're looking at, it's that's a really positive thing in my life at the moment, definitely. What about you?
Definitely the business and the way things are going for us is amazing. Then Chris, my fella, he's pretty amazing. Especially putting up with me being good, but I'm busy. I've got to know I have a masterclass tonight, don't talk to me.
So we've got Stu, my son, Matt, amazing friends who shower me with love. Isn't that a beautiful expression?
That is gorgeous.
During shitty times. Becky leading up my new job and potentially getting a new cat.
Oh, lush.
Julie gardening, which reduces your anxiety, definitely, and the lovely weather, absolutely. I've been out sunbathing and painting my fence this week, so I can completely appreciate that.
That's incredible, Julie, because I had to cut my lawn at the weekend, and I swear the grass was up to my knees. It was anything but relaxing. I could barely get the lawnmower across it. I was sweating. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, Shelley, your son finishing GCSEs, it must be in the same year as my Josh. And he has ADHD and autism, but it could be the same boy. Yes, they've done really well, haven't they? Very, very tough year. Esme, my family, and my brother, his family, recently moved up to live near you. Oh, that's lovely to get to see them more. That's lovely. Leaving a difficult job at the end of July soon, taking a bit of time for self-care. Yes, we were talking about that earlier. That's amazing. A sabbatical for self-care. Brilliant.
Fab. Okie doke. So that's put us all in a fab mood. So right now, what we want you to think about is give yourself a score between 1 and 10 for how well you think you manage any anxiety that you may suffer from now. And if you can drop that in the chat box, that would be good. So 1 being you don't really cope with it at all, it just takes over. 10 being, hey, I don't even know what it is. I'm so good at dealing with it. Okay, 4, 3.5, 4, 7.
That must be the gardening, Julie. Yeah. You have an immaculate garden. 5.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, so let me share we have some.
Well, that's a good point from Becky there, 7, but my strategy is to ignore it and pull myself together and not really deal with it. Yeah, totally relate to that one. Okay, right. We will get cracking on the masterclass.
So, trying to move to the next slide. Oops, sorry, my screens. So what is anxiety? So it's something that most people experience from time to time. And it's the feeling when we get put in an unknown, scary or dangerous situation. Our brain releases adrenaline and cortisol as part of our sort of caveman fight or flight response. And it prepares you to cope with the stress of the perceived threat. So it can be helpful. It can allow you to help perform during exams or cope during emergencies. But unfortunately, at the moment, a lot of the life-threatening situations we find ourselves, we find ourselves in modern times are not actually things that we can fight or run away from, but we still experience that unpleasant sensation of anxiety. So we perceive a threat, our body is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, but we don't actually do anything to expend that rush of adrenaline and cortisol in our body. So it stays in our body and it sits in there. And if you are exposed to anxiety and these stress levels on a long-term basis, it builds up and it actually then manifests itself as an illness or as a disease. And that's what I found for myself. It manifested in my gut, which is where your anxiety often lives. And that ended up with me having toiletry problems all linked to my gut. So it makes total sense once you start to realize how it affects you and where it manifests in your body. It's also an emotion caused by future tripping. And as Mel mentioned there, she was future tripping about what was going to be happening at work the next week during her weekend when she should have been relaxing, because we just keep thinking, what if? And it's brought on by us imagining outcomes despite not knowing what the outcome will actually be. So it's in our heads, yet it presents itself physically. And this is why the mindset work is so important with dealing with the anxiety. And as part of this masterclass, we're going to give you 3 tools to manage anxiety. 2 of them are mindset techniques, and there's going to be 1 body technique at the end. So, symptoms. So you might find yourself endlessly worrying about every situation, being tense and snapping at loved ones, catastrophizing about situations, imagining those terrible outcomes. Your mind might race a million miles an hour, start lots of tasks, but you're too caught up in future tripping to finish any of them. You might get eating, drinking, smoking excessively, or some kind of OCD kind of symptoms. And as I mentioned, if it persists long enough, that extra stress that we can't relieve, that we keep bombarding ourselves with in our body, that can lead to insomnia, to dizziness, feeling faint, or having a fuzzy head, stomach problems, as I've mentioned, and high blood pressure. All of these factors lead into that long-term stress and possibly more severe illnesses and problems moving on. So I'd like, if everyone feels able and capable to, and can be vulnerable in this group together, if you'd like to mention any symptoms that you might have had in the past or have currently as part of your anxiety. What are the things that you think and feel and actually experience? It'd be really good for you to get those out and actually sort of verbalize them. The first point, I think, as Mel mentioned at the beginning, to addressing your anxiety is being aware of the situation, of the issues and the symptoms, realizing that it's actually to do with anxiety. And that's the first step, as with a lot of issues, to then being able to solve them. Drinking excessively, churning stomach, insomnia, indigestion, stomachache, mind going nuts. Yeah, that's commonly known as your monkey mind, that crazy, crazy monkey mind, endlessly running through lists. Yes, trying to list out everything you need to do, that future tripping, eating and drinking excessively. Food has been your crutch, yeah, using that to try to pacify yourself, calm yourself down, just putting yourself into something like the lists, the food, high blood pressure, also fast heart rate, shaking, sweating, constant mind thoughts, bloated tummy. So a lot of people are mentioning the stomach here. That's where anxiety lives.
Yeah.
High blood pressure, mind racing 100 miles an hour, eating lots of chocolate, catastrophizing situations, starting lots of tasks, not finishing them. That's all of the things we've mentioned there. Yeah, everybody is feeling those. So you are aware of them, which is really good. So we can now start to look at how we can work through those, be aware of them and what we're actually doing.
Instead of just there procrastinating,
yes,
which we are so familiar with.
I know when I'm in a heightened level of stress because I can't make decisions. And it's taken me a long while to realize that. It might be something as simple as I go out because I'm going to treat myself because I'm stressed. I'm going to do retail therapy, and I will look, maybe I like this top and this top, and I stood there for ages going, I just cannot decide. And you then get more and more stressed. It perpetuates itself. And I've learned now that to recognize that that is a symptom of me being highly stressed, and to just turn away and leave. And that makes me aware that I can then put some tools into action. So yeah, definitely procrastinating. Buy them both, actually. Yes. Seek reassurance a lot when I'm very anxious. Where do you seek that reassurance? Does anybody else find them? Partner and sister. Okay, that's quite healthy when you're talking to people. Natalie, friends. I used to find myself going onto Facebook and trying to receive that external validation. So I would post comments, or not necessarily like dramatic ones. You know, sometimes you see people who say, I am at the end of my tether, or I'm in the hospital, and just saying nothing. And I've learned now that that's people crying for help. Okay, yeah, Facebook, too much social network. But I don't know if anybody else has found that. I realized that I would get myself into those unhealthy situations where I was wanting and needing that external reassurance and validation for myself. And as part of that, I've actually turned my notifications off pretty much any kind of app, because that would trigger my anxiety. So as I've mentioned here in this slide, anxiety does perpetuate itself. You have a tendency to worry. The ongoing stress develops a learnt behaviour of being anxious, and that's a vicious circle. Physical symptoms of anxiety make you think you've got health problems, which increases the anxiety. You then anticipate being anxious due to similar past experiences. So I was anxious last time something happened. I know I'm going to be anxious this time. And one of the things that is really unhelpful is avoiding anxiety. It leads to isolation, a lack of self-confidence, and it really increases your anxiety. Avoiding it makes it so much more difficult in the long run, and that vicious circle will have an absolute field day. So one of the things that we'll look at as one of the tool and techniques is gently setting yourself small goals and using the tools and techniques to help manage and banish that anxiety if you can. So moving on to Mel.
Yeah, so we've already talked about this, really, about facing up to your anxiety is the starting point. And once you have acknowledged it and recognized the impact it's having, then you can start to tackle it. So we've got these questions here on the slide about what unpleasant or frightening symptoms do you experience, and you've shared some of that with us already. What are your beliefs and thoughts about these symptoms? So for me, for example, I genuinely believed that they would never go away, that I couldn't control them, that they were controlling me, and the only thing that would help would be being completely removed from the situation. Absolutely believe they were there. If you've got anything you want to drop in the chat box about that, about your beliefs about any symptoms of anxiety, then drop them in as we're going through this slide. Is there anything that you're avoiding on a daily basis that might be signalling to you that you're anxious but maybe not acknowledging it? And what is the cause of the anxiety? Is it are there everyday stresses? Is there a particular trigger for you? And these are the kind of things we can ask ourselves when we start to feel anxiety. And we've already shared where we might feel that. So we might be feeling it in our gut. You might be feeling it somewhere else in your body, in your shoulders, your neck. I get really tense around here. There's like rocks. So it's useful to tune in. I think that just someone's dropped something in the chat box there about feeling silly. Let me just have a look. Yeah, I feel like I'm just being silly and need to get over myself. Do you know what, Becky? I totally relate to that, because that's the voice that kept going around in my head when I was at work. So instead of being at work and going, do you know what, I'm struggling, I really need some help, because if I get some help, that is going to help me progress with this time. I just sat there and just being silly. Just get on with it, girl. Come on, everyone can do this. And I wasn't doing anything. I would sit there for 20 minutes at a time, not doing anything except panic in my head. And it was ridiculous, didn't solve anything. Okay. Next slide, please, Tina.
Sorry, I was just reading Shelley's comments there. I need to pull myself together. Everyone else looks like they have it all together. Do you know what, Shelley? They don't.
They don't.
Yeah. If everybody had it together, there wouldn't be a need for groups like this. Yeah. We think everybody's got it all sorted, but then they're like swans. They look graceful on top and they're paddling away underneath as well. Everybody has these thoughts and these feelings, or a lot of people do. Yeah. But the fact that you're here and being aware of it is a really good point. Mm-hmm.
So here are some of the things that we've heard friends, colleagues, clients say to us, and some of the things we've experienced personally. So the first one, can't stop thinking about the horrible things that person said. I keep going over and over what happened in my head, thinking about what I should have said and done. Now, our brains are amazing, but they're also pretty evil. When we remember things, and when we remember things vividly, our brains cannot tell the difference between something that we're remembering and something that is actually happening. To the brain, It's exactly the same. So when we torment ourselves by going over things again and again in the past, we're causing our brains to relive them, and those thoughts will cause the physical reactions inside our bodies. My stomach is churning, I feel all wheezy. We've talked about that, about the link between your mind and your body. And the last point is about waking up at night worrying about things. And another little interesting fact, I read a great book called The Chimp Paradox, which is well worth a read. Really explains the fact that we've got two parts to our brain. We've got our chimp brain, which is basically our impulse, and then you've got your logical brain. And apparently, according to the author, between 11 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock in the morning, your logical brain goes to sleep. And the only thing that's running around in your brain is your impulses. So when you're lying awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, everything seems enormous and serious and very, very magnified, because your logical brain just isn't there to step in and calm you down. So apparently you should never make a decision between 11 at night and 7 in the morning either, for that very reason. Okay, next one, Tina, thanks. Right, so there is a super strong relationship between our thoughts and anxiety. So as we said earlier, anxiety starts in the mind with our thoughts when we're worried about a future or a present situation. And the reason that we worry about it is because we don't know. We don't know the rules. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how to do something. If the source is someone else's demands on us, so for example, a work task, we get anxious because we don't know if we can achieve it, and we don't know what will happen if we don't achieve what we've been asked to. And our logical minds, our logical minds have one job, and that is to keep us safe. That is the purpose of our logical conscious mind. So those thoughts will start running through our heads. So things like, this isn't safe, I can't do this, this is going to go wrong, I'm going to fail, this is going to be painful, I can't do this. All of those things are sent to our brain to make us basically avoid the situation, to keep us safe, because we're going into an unknown situation. That's why we are potentially anxious. And that's not to mention the what ifs. So again, they come up to make us avoid the situation. What if I fall? What if I lose my job? What if I can't pay the mortgage? And that's when we'll start, as Tina mentioned earlier, about future tripping. Can't pay my mortgage, then I'm going to lose my house, and you start to picture yourself having to pack up your house and leave, and your brain's going, my God, they're packing up the house, they're leaving, shit, we're scared, we've got nothing, what's happening? These thoughts are generally triggered simply by the unknown or unfamiliar situations, and we can't stress that enough. I always thought that anxiety started with a funny feeling in your tummy, and then your brain went, oh, I'm anxious, I've got a funny feeling in my tummy. But prior to there being a funny feeling in my tummy, there'll have been a thought somewhere, even if you're not fully conscious of it. When we have these thoughts running around in our head, what they do is they create feelings and emotions such as fear, panic, worry, and those emotions will manifest themselves physically. We've already mentioned quite a few times the physical impact it has. So really, it's pretty awful when I suppose to put it bluntly, we've only got ourselves to blame. We actually need to take a lot more responsibility for our anxiety than perhaps we have allowed ourselves to before, because we can control our thoughts, we can control our future tripping, but we just need to know how to do it. So I'm going to hand you back over to Tina to talk through some of the strategies.
Absolutely. So the first tool that we're going to give you is about shaking up your perspective. So we need to stop and breathe, which is why we started this session with breathing, because that is one of the biggest tools that we can use for calming our anxiety and our thoughts. Once we stop and breathe, we can actually analyze our thoughts, break down that vicious anxiety circle. And if we approach the problem from a different perspective, it helps detach ourselves emotionally from the moment, and it allows us to be more objective and reframe our thoughts. So let's have a think. Are you exaggerating the situation? Everything always goes wrong for me. Does it really always go wrong for you? Okay. How can we reframe this? So everything, is that true? Can you think of times when things haven't gone wrong for you? And always, is that true? Can you think of occasions when things have gone right? So you have to be really aware of the language that you use. And this is the NLP aspect that Mel's talking about here. What the thoughts that we have in our mind dictate our beliefs. So if you ever find yourself saying everything always goes wrong, catch yourself, look at it from a different perspective. Is it everything? Does it always go wrong? Where is the evidence for that? Are you jumping to conclusions? So we've mentioned that this vicious circle, you start to get a bit of anxiety, you feel a pain in your chest or under your ribs, and you think, oh, I've got a pain, oh, it must be my heart. And then you just perpetuate yourself in that vicious circle, thinking you're having a heart attack, and the anxiety just goes riot. So what else could it actually be? So tuning into your body and being aware of any feelings and emotions in your body can then make you stop and analyze what's actually going on. And are you focusing only on the bad things? So you might have had a terrible meeting. That meeting was horrible. I'm going to have a terrible week. You're future tripping there. What evidence have you got that all week is going to be bad? Okay, have anything's gone well that week? It's completely human nature to only focus on the negatives. I'm sure a lot of you will be able to appreciate this. You might have won something nice and you've had loads of comments, big compliments and stuff, but one person might say, oh, you look a bit fat in that dress, or something like that. All the 20 compliments you might have received earlier in the day, completely blown out of your mind, and you concentrate and focus on that one negative comment or one negative look, which might not have actually been a negative look. It might have been, the person might have been having a stressful day themselves, and they've just looked at you thinking about what their problems are, not actually looking at you thinking, oh, she doesn't look very nice in that dress or that top. You're making it about you. So exaggerating, jumping to conclusions, focusing on bad things. If we can be aware of that and try to shake up our perspective on that one, challenge our thoughts, challenge our beliefs, look for evidence to the contrary, and just try to change how we talk about ourselves and how we talk about our experiences. Esme, you've put in here, I remember going over in my head the negative things and ignoring the good stuff. Wake up at night, not be able to get back to sleep because of it. Getting conscious has really helped. I hadn't associated that with anxiety. You're welcome. I think in our coaching group, there was one lady that's set up her own business she's a financial advisor, and she came on one meeting once and she said, I approached 20 people to be clients today. Lots of people signed up, but 2 people didn't sign up. They didn't want to be my clients. And we were like, how many people did sign up? And she was like, 18. And we're like, why are you concentrating on the 2 people that didn't sign up? 18 people did. It's just, it's automatic human nature to always focus on the negatives. So we need to really challenge that. So that's the first tool, shake up your perspective. The next one is calming the mind. And we can do this by using a worry tree. Okay, so I think it's pretty difficult to say, don't worry about it, yeah? It's very easy for someone to say that to you, not quite so easy to put it into practice. So we're not gonna insult you and say, don't worry about it, everything will be fine. What we're gonna say is, notice the worry. Then I want you to ask yourself, what am I worrying about? Okay, and can I do anything about it? So worrying is wasted energy. It doesn't motivate you. It doesn't make you more prepared for events. If you're worrying about somebody else, it's a pretty ineffective way to show that you care. And I think a lot of us might worry about other people. So, and as Mel mentioned, this is to do the worry about the fact that it's uncertainty, this unknown, we don't know what's going to happen. And this uncertainty creates resistance, and that results in the fear and anxiety, as we've mentioned. So you use a lot of energy getting upset over things you can't control. So we need to work out, can you control it? If you can, then we need to look at it and see, what is it? When is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Let's create an action plan. Okay, if you can create an action plan, you then need to consider, can I act on it now? In which case, let's get it done, change of focus. We're going to do the action plan to work out what we're worried about, what can we do to not worry, what can we do to get rid of any things that are insurmountable. Think, well, how can we actually challenge that and tackle it and overcome that problem? If we can't do it immediately, let's schedule it in for later. Okay, let the worry go for now and say, right, I am in my middle of my working day. I'm worried about, will my kids turn up, in time for tea or something from playing? There's no point worrying at the moment. Let me text them at 5 o'clock to see if they're going to be back in time for tea. Trying to set yourself times and deadlines for that. If you can't do anything about it, you need to change your focus and let it go. Okay, and meditation is a really good way of actually learning to become comfortable with uncertainty. And there are meditation things that we offer for people to allow you to sort of reframe things and look at different ways of sort of coping with worry and how to let it go. We can also use like the what if technique and what else to question possible outcomes for when we're looking at our action plan. But the worry tree is a really good thing. So if you do notice the worry, stop yourself. Can you control it? If so, let me do an action plan. If I can't control it, what is the point of wasting time worrying about it? Let it go. Okay? If you could try to be aware of that and start implementing the worry tree, then that's a really good way of looking at that. I'm trying to desperately move my, sorry, I've got too many things, boxes in it. So the final tool that we're going to be taking you through is body movement. So there is various things you can do. So breathing, learning to control and slow your breath, which we had a little go at a bit earlier. Muscle relaxation, so you can tense and release your body, move into deep relaxation, zoning in on the breathing as you do that. Meditation can help calm and give you clarity in the present moment. This is one area that I found really, really beneficial for myself. And yoga also can help unblock and release negative energy. So breathing helps you control and slow your breath. It's very simple, but it's very dramatic in reducing anxiety. It centers you, stills you. It can provide really wonderful benefits to your physical and mental health. The deep muscle relaxation, you want a nice, warm, comfortable place. Clench and release all parts of your body. Soften your body. Focus your mind as you're doing that, as you work through your body. And in the meditation, it allows you to just ground yourself, center yourself, seek clarity, and look at things with a non-judgmental awareness. Allows you to detach yourself and become more objective, which then helps you shake up your perspective and look at things more objectively rather than in the heat of the moment. So I'm going to take you through now a quick breathing technique called alternate nostril breathing. So this is a yogic breath control practice, and it helps you manage stress in your daily life by relaxing your body and your mind, lowering your perceived stress levels. And research has shown that it has a very positive effect on your cardiovascular function. It lowers your heart rate, your respiratory rate, and your blood pressure. It promotes overall well-being and has a positive effect on your mental health. And it allows you to be more focused and aware. And it's something that can be done quite discreetly. I think especially at the moment with everyone wearing masks, You open and close your nostrils. I'll take you through. And if you can imagine with the mask at the moment, it can be done quite discreetly, like you're just adjusting your mask. So if you're out and about and you feel the anxiety starting to take over, you can employ this breathing technique fairly inconspicuously, just to help calm you down. So if everybody wants to have get themselves ready, I don't know if you've got any tissues, if you might want to give your nose a quick blow. Otherwise you might just have to suck it up and see, because I know it can help. You have to breathe in and out through one nostril at a time. So if your nose is a little bit blocked, hopefully it won't be, but if it is a little bit blocked, you might want to just release your nose slightly if you find it having a little bit of difficulty breathing out. I just want you to take your right thumb, place it on your right nostril, okay? And we are going to breathe in through our left nose, and then we are going to clamp our left nostril, breathe out and in through our right nose, clamp that nostril, breathe out and in through left, clamp left, out and in through right. And we will keep repeating that. I'll talk you through it and we'll get into a slow rhythm of what we do, okay? So again, if you want to close your eyes, please feel happy to do that. If you want to take your video off, that's fine as well, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But we will just clamp our right nostril with our thumb and breathe in through your left nose. And with your ring finger, clamp your left nostril, breathe out through right, breathe in right, clamp right with thumb, breathe out left, breathe in left, clamp left nostril, breathe out right nostril, breathe in right nostril. Nice long slow deep breaths using that diaphragm. Clamp right, unclamp left, breathe out, breathe in left, clamp left nostril, breathe out through right. You all should just have your own rhythm now. If you just keep going at your own pace. Concentrating on feeling the movement of the breath through your body. Feeling that belly expanding and contracting. And then on the next in-breath of the left nostril, if you just release your hand, just breathe out through both nostrils. Just keep your eyes closed for a few more seconds as we just transition out. A couple of nice, long, deep breaths in and out through the nose. Feeling that calm, that centering. We've been using our breath as our mantra there to focus our awareness, bringing into a more mindful state. And when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes. How did that feel for everyone? Nice.
I wish I'd known about that when I was at the peak of my because I remember just sitting at my desk going, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And my brain being in such a panic, I couldn't even click the mouse onto a cell on the spreadsheet. And I wish I'd known at that time that I could have just gone away, gone to the loo, spent 10 minutes calming myself down. Because again, when our brains are in that calm, peaceful state, guess what? Ideas come, solutions come. When we're in that high vibe energy, we're blocking everything. It's almost like the panic blocks your thoughts. When you're relaxed and you're calm and you're peaceful and you're almost in a trance-like relaxed state, ping, 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 we get ideas. So I wish I'd known about that then. It would have been extremely helpful.
Yeah, so Esme said that was very soothing. Shelley said it's so easy to do. It is. It's one of the easiest things you can do for breathing, other than just normal deep breathing. The fact that you're actually having to concentrate on moving your fingers and your thumbs means that you really have to focus in on it, and it really helps you become aware. And your fingers and your breath serves as a bit of a mantra, which helps keep you engaged. When you just do deep breathing, your mind can start to wander, thoughts can jump in. So by actually incorporating the alternate nostril breathing, it does help to keep you more aware. I'm taking that as a compliment, Becky. Thank you. And Nat, I thought Nat actually had fallen asleep there. She looks so chilled. So remember, it's very easy. Start off with an in breath on your left, and then out and in from your right, out and in from your left. If you get it mixed up, don't worry about it. If you're doing in and out, doesn't matter. Just try to remember a breath in and an out on each side and swap over. And you'll see, I mean, you could just like rest on your desk, you know, like you're holding your head and doing it, or just mess around with your mask doing it. It's a very simple one to do when you're visible. Oh yeah, 25 minutes of yoga. Nice. Nat. Do you find that does, you said that helps set you up for the day? Absolutely. And if anybody is interested, we do have a rev up your routine morning challenge that we're happy to give to you guys, and a freebie for setting up your morning routine, of which exercise is one of the things, or body movement anyway, at least. So Mel, I think we're going to ask about scores again, aren't we?
We are, right. Can everyone just drop in the chat box? We appreciate that. An hour, we only just scratched the surface with this kind of thing. But drop in the chat box now how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident you feel about tackling anxiety if it crops up. Just with the couple of techniques we've had the time. Yeah, 8. 6, 7, 7. Probably the same source. I think once you're in the situation and you use a technique, that's really the time to know. Like the calm tree, it is such a great way of putting you in control, because your decision making every step of the way, and being in control yourself is a known factor for being able to reduce stress and anxiety. But okay, well, thanks for sharing that, guys.
And I think Nat, with some of the techniques, I mean, you sound like you've got a really good support network there. You can make them aware of that, and then you can talk to them and be accountable to them. I often find I'll go to Mel and say, I'm thinking this, am I blowing it out of all proportion? You know, can you help me get my perspective in check? So you've got a few tools and techniques there which you could maybe share with friends, say, can you help me? Can you be my buddy? And, you know, give me some perspective.
Yeah. Sorry, I've unmuted myself just to explain. I think for myself, it's more situational at the moment, which is why the 3.5 is not necessarily how I feel right now. It's just things that are going on that are out of my control in a way that I know I can't do anything about. But then it's more of a time will make it better type thing. So that's mainly the reason for the 3.5. Not that this has been really great, and I know quite a lot of this. The thing that I really enjoyed actually was that the tree, the mind tree, or whatever you call it. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah. Well, we will be sending this out to you afterwards, so you can go back and look at that again. Okay.
Okay. So we know that learning how to tackle anxiety is one step towards developing yourself. And the immediate impact of learning how to do this is that it starts to build your self-esteem. So we're sharing some comments here from clients who have made huge steps towards building up positive self-beliefs and self-worth by tackling their anxiety. So we've got clients who said that they don't over worry about things. They're not held down by anxiety anymore. Anxiety is dramatically decreased, and they feel stronger and happier. And the higher that your self-esteem is, the less likely you are to suffer from anxiety, simply because you have the absolute belief that you can cope with the unknown, because you believe in yourself and the ability to deal with things. So that everything's all interlinked. We've learned that over the last 2 years. And we have literally just scratched the surface here with a few tools and strategies. In 1 hour, we don't get to go super deep. And Tina and I had a bit of a challenge on our hands, trying to select the best that we could give you in an hour to make it worthwhile, because there was so much we could have covered. And that is why we have created our Elevate Your Self-Esteem Bootcamp. This is more than an hour. So if you feel any of these things, if you feel like, what have I got to offer? Or if you worry about what others think of you all the time, if you don't believe that you're worth the life that you really want, or the job that you really want, or the partner that you really want, if you're scared to push yourself out of your comfort zone and have a goal because you're too concerned about what other people will think, or if you avoid doing things out of fear that it'll go wrong, fear that people will hate it, if any of those kinds of things resonate with you, then this bootcamp is exactly what you need. Because this time, we're going deep, 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 deep. Like we have here, we will get you to understand where your self-esteem comes from. And like we've done in this hour session, we will give you tools and techniques to help you build your self-esteem, but we'll go further. You'll get a much deeper understanding, and you will get more tools and techniques, and you'll get growth work to do in between. So ultimately you'll get a bigger transformation than the one that you've experienced just in this hour. You will know that you do have something to offer, and you will know that you truly, truly believe this. You won't worry or care about what others think about you after this. You'll know your own worth. You may still feel fear, because we all do, because we're human, but you'll go, oh yeah, fear, I know what you're doing, and you won't let it hold you back. So if you imagine like living life with low self-esteem is a little bit like driving with the handbrake on. It's slow, it's hard, it's a bit sluggish, takes you ages to get anywhere. With our bootcamp, we'll get you cruising, we'll get you overtaking, We might even get you speeding on the motorway in the outside lane. That handbrake is off and you're full steam ahead. Now it starts on the 10th of June. It runs over 3 weeks. So you get an hour a week for 3 weeks and you get growth work in between. And Tina and I know from our own journeys that real deep transformation doesn't happen instantly. It can take a while to come through. So we're going to give you that while. We're going to give you that time in between the sessions for things to sink in, for you to reflect, and for you to do the little bit of growth work. So in total, it's probably about 4 hours of your time. That's the investment you'll make in terms of your time. In terms of money, it's £97. And for that, you'll get 3 one-hour sessions, you'll get growth work, you'll get support from a Facebook group before, during, and after the boot camp. You'll get the replays to watch, and also throughout the whole time, you can get in touch with Tina and I directly and ask us for help throughout the whole program. I mean, I don't know about you guys, I don't know about you, Tina, but in the past, I've spent more than 97 quid on a 3-course meal and a few cocktails. And I can tell you, like, more than once, I've spent more than that in hairdressers. And like, look at my hair, right? £97 in the hairdressers 2 weeks after I'm getting the white seam down the middle of my head where the roots are already growing back. I'm like, it's going to be another £97 in about 6 weeks' time. Great. So that was a treat. That lasted a couple of weeks. This is a treat and an investment that will last you a lifetime, because the tools and strategies you'll be able to put into place time and time again. And when you build up that self-esteem and that self-belief and that self-worth, you can't really put a price on that, because that will change your life. So you guys get to hear about it first. We will be launching it tomorrow in our Facebook group, but the link will be sent to you guys tomorrow with a replay of today's masterclass. Honestly, Tina and I, it's one of our favourite topics because we have both been on huge journeys around this area. I don't think there's anything that we haven't brought up, that we haven't dealt with. We would love to see you in our boot camp. So think about it, check out your emails. There you go, exciting stuff.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for your time tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it worthwhile, informative, and you've learned a few tools and techniques now that you can use in future to help keep that anxiety in check. So I hope you have a lovely evening for the rest of the evening, and we will reach out to you tomorrow, and be lovely to see you all in our community Facebook group, which we'll also send you to tomorrow if you're not already in there. And thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. And
yeah, and thank you for your comments. We're pleased to see that it's been useful and it's been helpful. That's exactly what we want to do. No one should have to suffer in the way that we have when you know you can do something about it. So thank you so much for your participation, guys. It's lovely to meet you all, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.